For those of you who've got to go, thank you so much for coming. For those of you who'd like to stick around for the Critical Response Talkback, please do. Let Marlon get his head back on, and we'll see you back here in about 5 minutes. All right, guys, let's get this party started. So the first step in what is Liz Lerman's critical response process is just responses from you, our wonderful audience members, to find out what specific moments tonight had meaning for you, and specifically what type of meaning those moments had. Some words that Mrs. Lerman throws out. What was stimulating, surprising, evocative, memorable, touching, unique, compelling, or meaningful to you? But really what we're trying to get here is a palette of choices through which you may define and express your reactions.
I think the strongest moments, many strong moments, but I think the most strong moment for me to experience was when the dancing mask, who I think is Bo-Jangles, took off his mask. So when I think it was the jacket and the hat left, but he still had his mask on.
The strongest moments for me were each time you tried to run away from it and were thrown back in, and that sense of having no else to go on the other side of the path.
I also thought a strong moment was towards the end, you got to the third mask and you knew that you didn't want to face it, but couldn't get that box off stage once you dealt with it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Yeah, I thought that worked really well. And that was clear.
Sounds like a lot of people had similar reactions. Does anyone else want to speak to how that moment caught them?
I was going to say, I love the use of the trunk just in general, and how it sort of held this history, literally and figuratively, and how at the beginning it was a very scary thing, but then again, at the very end, it was something that you almost embraced, and that you needed that history in order to continue and to grow.
And to spin off of when he had to take off the Bo-Jangles mask, it was like he had this resentment, but also this affection for the mask almost, because that moment between when he was getting a mask that would have the voice that would can face the other two options, I feel like he almost had this sort of like lingering towards the Bo-Jangles mask, so I really like that, where it's like you almost want to stay in that role where like you know what you're in and what you're facing versus the uncertain future.
I thought it was really powerful when you put on the last mask and in such a physical piece finally began to speak, but it was with your own voice on tape, and then the continued use of that your taped voice was consistent, right? It continued, and then you just spoke with it every once in a while.
I really was moved by when you tried to speak, when you looked to us and tried to evoke something from us or speak to us, and you couldn't, and the direct contact that was made through those moments.
Yeah,
That was really good.
for me, I really loved that you built that wall. I really liked feeling like you were, like what you just said, you were really trying to communicate with the audience.
I love the deliberate use of sound when it was used. So your breath, your feet scuffling on the floor, the sound of the chains. So when there was sound, it was illuminating what was happening. So deliberate use of sound is great.
Even the
clatter
sound
of the flask really stood out.
Yeah.
The clatter of that just like dropping.
and even the corner of the tongue. Because that's something you would, I mean, like I was like, okay, I'm going to try and learn this down easy, but there was no way and you just found it.
Sheldon and Dane.
Man, that was intense. You should have told me, you know?
Was there a specific moment that you were like, man, I really wish he prepped me for this?
I love the reference to minstrelsy, and I love to see the body would just endure such intense physical labor and then put on the mask doing the minstrelsy. That was just so intense.
something that really struck me as useful in the show is in the second mask, at the top, the more lighthearted, the more moments of humor, where you were having fun, like, oh, playing with the hat, where's my mind, and allowing us to have those sort of lighter moments where you're laughing almost to get through the pain. And that really sort of made the sort of stark relief of the lower moments that much more effective. So I think that was really great.
Yeah, that transition from performative Bo-Jangles to I'm no longer the Bo-Jangles was just harder.
Well, to me, when it was comical, it actually made me feel the most uncomfortable that I felt in the whole thing, because I felt like this disgust for you, I felt this disgust for us, like I felt disgust for every comical moment, and I think that it was like, okay, we're laughing, why are we laughing? Like, it made me want to cry.
Cry.
I liked how you tied in the connection between chains and shoes there at the end, and kind of building to that metaphor, coerced work.
It's not a structural thing or a moment, but the quality of your focus and your control they were not only beautiful to watch, but they were reassuring. So that you showed me by how absolutely intensely focused you were that I didn't have to worry about what you were going to do. Yeah, it made me, yes. I could trust that, okay, he can deal with difficult things here, and it's going to be okay, because it's not going to be embarrassing or stupid, or, right? I mean, there are all those things you're afraid of when you watch theater, that it's going to make you uncomfortable in a different way than what you intend.
I think Brittany said something about the sound. For me, I think particularly intense and effective moments, when you could hear a pin drop and really all we heard from you is your like muffled breathing behind there. I thought there was something very emotional and intense about just hearing the sound of your breath behind the mask, suppressed.
Thank you guys so much for coming.
Well, hey, we got time for step two. You've got time to ask us some questions now.
Okay, you guys answered quite a bit. What would you like to see more of? Is my concern. Yes.
I wanted to see, like, the first time you put the keys on, we were doing this little shoe dance tease. I wanted more.
I did too.
I was like, oh, is he gonna do tap dance routine? Oh man! And I was so excited. I was like, oh man, it's
Yeah, I was looking for some more joy at the beginning of Bo-Jangles, because then I think that makes that turn. You have the flex of it at the beginning, but I think a little bit more joy, because then when the turn happens, we go, oh shit.
Also more like virtuosity, like if just showing off some real virtuoso textiles would really kind of cement that.
There were moments in your dance routine where you kept kind of, and I love, like I said, I love when you broke that wall, but in those dance moments, I wanted you kind of to lose yourself in it, and you kept kind of making eyes at the audience during it, and I just kind of wanted you to stop and just go.
I had the opposite reaction to that, to the Bo-Jangles. I mean, I didn't want to feel joy in it. So I wouldn't have minded more dance, but I felt like it stayed uncomfortable for me. And I didn't think I should enjoy it. So I was glad you didn't make me enjoy it. Right.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to say that I really love that it's not look like it's well rehearsed, so fluent. And I really appreciate that I can see some stereotypes figure that you're referring to. I don't know, I want to push you to go further, but I don't know if I can handle that. Like, I love to see Sambo, I love to see Tom, I love to see Pickaninny, but I really just don't know how, if I'm just gonna cry.
Yeah. Just have a drink.
And see, I was actually gonna say, I would have loved to have seen another mask.
Yeah, it felt like you
just
needed,
so
yeah.
enthralled, like the whole show, but especially when you put on the mask, and this kind of goes back to the focus that was mentioned earlier, and the sound, and the fact that there was no extraneous stuff when you had that mask on. It was you were that character, and that was it, and there wasn't any extra fluff or movement or anything like that. I would have loved to have seen another mask.
I mean, the mask was cool. You did an amazing job with the mask, and what the mask represented was awesome. Their work is like you're given this box, and in this box are your set of options. You've got like slave or entertainer, and those are your set of options, and you're like kind of dealing with this dichotomy of like what you've been provided with as roles in society. And I feel like the last mask was, in a sense, all the other masks that could possibly be, because it had the mouth and it had you being able to have a voice. So the mask in itself, the last one was like limitless, whereas the other two were like, here's your box, here's your roles, you know?
Yeah.
Could you talk
Nice
about the mask?
analysis.
Seriously.
Because I was looking at it more of from a historical perspective, and so hearing that perspective of it is completely different, and it totally puts the show in a totally different light.
I
You
just
know?
felt like I just gave like a whole all my hair.
I think you could, or I would benefit from knowing more, aside from my own assumptions, why you like the second mask better, but it appeared to me that you had a stronger affinity, a stronger connection with the second mask, and I didn't know why.
You mean,
I could project my own understanding of why, but
do you mean the performer or Marlon?
the performer,
Okay.
yeah. The unmasked.
I liked all the masks still being on stage after you removed them.
Yeah.
Because I could look back and remind myself of the story you just gave us. There are many stories going on.
Can you talk to us a little about the masks? I love them deeply. I love mask work, and I thought it was so amazing what you were doing. How did you make them? Did you have someone make them for you?
Well, last semester, Anthony Murata, our movement professor, it was mass performance, and we process that I like. We had the option of doing paper mache or neoprene, and which is a liquid plastic. So you cast that and then pour the neoprene in, and then it pops off.
You got the straws in your nose and everything?
Yeah. No. He actually used a 3D printer here. And printed our faces, so I can make
Place on the portion that's being questioned, but merely that it brings that portion of the performance to the forefront of Marlon's mind so that he can continue to consider it and make his own artistic choices about it. Yeah, great.
What motivated you to, at the end, speak sometimes with your voice and not others? What motivated you to choose that aside from not talking at all or talking the whole time?
The thought that, like personally, in my whole life, I've always been apprehensive about talking about race or expressing myself in a way that I should sometimes, and I felt that something eventually needed to be said. I don't think I could have done a show without speaking something, and I'll be honest, it was more of a self-satisfaction that I can get something out of this that personally pleases me. This summer was one of the hardest summers for me to look on the internet, and I would talk, me and my wife would talk about it, and it's just something that both of us, it's hard for us to talk about with our friends, with our own family. It's yeah, so this was, I took this as my chance to get some stuff off my chest.
I forgot to mention also, if you don't have an answer,
Yep.
all you gotta say is that's an excellent question.
I have a question. Why was this man forced
Yeah,
to be
that's
here?
what-
Was there a specific reason? Was it more just symbolic?
Sorry, 1 second. That's an excellent question. For me, it was a metaphor of the black man, black woman being thrown into a certain situation and given certain roles. It's always what society puts on us. When you read something about your past, it affects you in some sort of way. That's what I was going for.
Yeah, Kristen,
Did you intend to see us, did you intend to take off your mask at the very, very end when we could see that?
These things from the past into what the future would be more hopeful. And the answer could be as simple as no. Okay. That was not an excellent question.
I mean, well, because it's like right now in real life, we don't know what's going to happen. So my idea is this is an allegory that won't be affected until I see something in like that would fit into that box.
Cool.
So you said, jumping off of Amy's question about how the kids affect you or how the character affects you, does your unmasked performer have any of those physical marks or like scars left on him after his experience?